Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Alpha Media where we learn, connect, and grow. I am your host, Nema Nembres, and this is the Mid Morning Show. So, for those who are yet to join us, kindly join us on our social media handles on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Alpha Media. We're live at Facebook, and thank you so much for those who are already with us. Thank you so much. We are very grateful to have you with us. We are very grateful for this new week. How is your week like? Today is Monday morning, and it feels so nice to have you here with us on our discussion. And thank you so much for joining us. So today I woke up in the morning, and it was as usual that I always read my quotes and get my psych up, and I'm ready to start the week. And my quote today I would like to share with you guys. It really motivated me this morning, and it said, "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Let me say it again. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. This is magic. Magic in believing in yourself. How are you wherever you are? Are you believing in yourself? Believing in yourself that you can do anything no matter what. Anything that was lagging behind last week, and this is another week, and you're like, will I do it? Yes, you can. Believe in yourself. Wake up, do that thing, watch anything that you need to watch to motivate you. Do whatever that you think that you cannot do it. Do it. Wake up and do it. It's really motivating, because personally it motivated me to wake up early in the morning and just come to work, which is wonderful. Something that maybe someone somewhere cannot do that because of maybe their health, because of what they're going through. But you, if you're able to watch this, you're able to be with me here and read this motivation of today. Kindly believe in yourself, believe in whatever you think that you cannot do, and let's kick the week with psych. Let's kick the week with all the energy that you feel like you have. Let's kick it with us. So thank you so much again, and it really motivated me. I hope that it's something important to you to have that in your mind, and in our today's show too, that anything that we will be having in our knowledge of today, that it will help us in our whole week. It will help us in our farm. It will help us in whatever area that you are in. You will be motivated. Thank you so much. So on our topic today, very interesting. It tackles both genders, both men and women, both farmers, marketers, and transportation, in all areas, about herbs and spices in the kitchen, in the gardening, all areas. By the way, we do herbs and spices in whatever food that you eat, maybe in the hotel, maybe in at home when your wife is cooking for you, you yourself when you're cooking for yourself, you use those spices. So we are here today to discuss on herbs and spices. And our big question of today is, what do you know about herbs and spices? Wherever you are in the kitchen, when you by the way, I think all foods use spices. When you cook tea, when you cook mandazis, when you cook donuts, when you cook your lunch, maybe spaghetti, maybe stew, dinner, chapati, or whatever you think that it's supposed to be cooked depending with your menu, we use spices. On the farm, farmers, they farm many herbs and spices. So today we are talking about something very amazing that cuts across everybody, wherever you are. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate your cooperation in this topic. Kindly comment, kindly share the show, and it will really be nice to have you here. So on this topic, we will be starting the discussion from scratch. How will your land be like? Do you need big acres? Do you need small land? And how is the preparation of land look? How will the preparation of land look like when we kick in the soil? How is the soil test? How is the water test? Moving from there, let's go to the planting, spacing. How will I broadcast the fertilizers? Which fertilizer should I use? Which fertilizer is important in my crops, in my herbs that I'm farming, or the spices? How will I harvest the spices? Will I use there's some spices which you harvest the leaves, some the roots, some the seeds, some the flowers. So which spice or which herb are you using, and how are you supposed to use it too? So, and when it comes to pests and diseases, are you controlling them organically or inorganic? When it comes to harvesting, how are you harvesting them? How is your storage like? How is your preservation like, which is very important, because you can go through all that process in the farm, and then when it comes to storage and preservation, you mess it up. So today we are discussing all that here, and we will really appreciate your cooperation, whichever area you are, even if you're in the kitchen. How is the market like when you're going to buy the spices? How is the market like? Is it affecting you? Is it affecting your budget that you had when you had the budget that you had in your mind on buying the spices? So how are you kicking on when it comes to the economy, the transportation from the farm to the market? How is it like? When we talk about the spices, a lot of spices here in Kenya are being exported. How are your spices looking like? Are they good for transportation? Are they good for exportation? Because I know they only export quality any product, quality produce. So how is your produce like? How does it look like? So I would really love you guys to join me in the discussion. And as we know that most of the spices are just not being used in the kitchen. Some are used as perfumes, some are used as medicines, others are used in religious rituals. Spices and herbs can be used in a lot of areas, not only in the kitchen, by the way, in a lot of things, in a lot of things, and most of it all, medicines. Herbs and spices mostly are used in medicines. I remember when I'm always around my mom. Whenever you cough, she has a solution of a herb. She'll tell you, go to that corner of the shamba, get those leaves. They look like this and this. Come, do this and this and this. Boil hot water, all that. And at the end of it all, you're healed. That's a herb. That is something that she knows from where she is, that hey, when someone does this and this, when someone is sick, maybe the stomach aches or headaches, you use these herbs, and kudos to our parents and the people who first were in the rural areas. They know these medicines like they're on their fingertips, and it's really good for them. So before we go to our topic of today about herbs and spices, I would like you to think about the topic as we're continuing with the trend. What do you know about herbs and spices? Whichever area you are, kindly Nene, comment with us, and we will appreciate. So on the trend of today, farmers, there is something amazing here that I saw about broccoli vegetables. I didn't think that it can create millions when it comes to our economy, but surprisingly, broccoli vegetable is making Kenyan farmers to earn millions of money. What have you tried to plant anytime soon? Because I think you should try broccoli. Depending with the economy, if it's bringing billions of money, you should try broccoli, because a lot of people are doing broccoli vegetables, and those who have already done it, they have good testimonies about broccoli vegetables. And I've shared even a post on our social media handle at Facebook about the trend on broccoli vegetable, how it's creating a lot of money for farmers, because as you're talking now, it's creating millions of money just in 3 months. Imagine, where will you get millions of money just in 3 months? Which job will you get for that cash? Which job will you get for that salary? Because I've never seen it. So why don't we try broccoli? And surprisingly, broccoli, you can try it even in your garden, your kitchen garden. You can try it there, even if it's 3, 4, 5, just for your maybe dinner or lunch. It's amazing. At least it will cut the cost, and it's something that is very good even in our health. And as I read in the research, it's something that it has very good health benefits, including lowering cholesterol levels, reducing blood sugar control, promoting heart health, protection against cancer, and also helps consumers with digestion. Is it not a good vegetable? Because for me, I think it is. And even when you're cooking broccoli, it's not even hard to cook. It's very easy, very amazing. You can mix it with other vegetables. You can eat with anything that is there as a side dish. So it's very awesome to do broccoli vegetable. As a farmer, as a consumer, you should too. So on the question of the day, let's go back. What do you know about herbs and spices? What do you know about herbs and spices? As I said, even if you're a doctor, you can use it as medicine. Even if you're in the kitchen, you can use it as your food. So as a spice on your food. So how are you using the spices and herbs for you? So I would like us to go and to know more about how we should use spices and herbs on everything. So let's kick in. As I said, you can use it as leaves. Welcome back to the show. Sorry for the cut of the show. I'm being told that we are having a guest who will be helping us in the discussion of herbs and spices. And again, our big question: what do you know about herbs and spices? He will be helping us to digest these in our information about herbs and spices, and giving us the knowledge of how to do herbs and spices correctly, the storage part of it, the packaging part of it. So we are really happy to have you here. Welcome very much to our show, our guest. Karibu sana. Can you hear us?
Asante, you can hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Oh, good.
Karibu sana. Thank you so much for joining us. And on our topic of today, what do you know about herbs and spices? Can you kindly introduce yourself and tell us what area do you major in when it comes to herbs and spices?
Good. Asante sana for having me on your show, which
Yes.
is a company that is invested in the agricultural space.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, we do herbs and spices with
Mm-hmm.
a concentration in packaging and processing herbs, spices, and essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So when you talk about packaging and storage of herbs and spices, do you do all herbs and spices, or do you have specific herbs and spices that you do?
Well, it's a bit superficial for anyone too many. So
Sorry, I've not got you well.
right now, well, it's a bit superficial for anyone to tell you that they do all herbs and spices because we have very many herbs and spices. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, our concentration right now is on the household herbs and
Mm-hmm.
spices, the common one,
Uh-huh.
cinnamon, cardamom, and such like the common household day-to-day spices. And then we have the specialized ones that have a different kind of market, things like lavender, things like saffron.
Mm-hmm.
So those ones also have a different market, and those are the ones now we use to extract the oils.
Okay, so before even we go to the packaging part of it and the storage, we would like to know from your side, do you guys go and help the farmers in transportation of the spices, and then now you come and package, or the farmers are the ones to get the spices to you guys?
Actually, our business model is a bit is a bit different from the norm. How it happens is our company has partnered with a company that does aggregation of farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a company that solely all they do is aggregate farmers based on the needs of the client, who is Judera.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have partnered with another company, and all they do is they help us when it comes to dehydrating the products that are coming from the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see, with the aggregators, what happens is the aggregators have people who help the farmers produce the quality that we need.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we work. We work with it backwards from that perspective.
Okay, as you've said, let me just be sure of what you've said, that the farmers, the other organization is the one that brings you the quality products from the farm, and then maybe when you get them, are you the ones to dry them and know how you will store them and all that in the
Yes,
processing part of it?
yes.
Okay, take us through about they have the storage part of it and the drying of. I understand that some spices are being dried and some herbs are being dried before even the storage and all that. We would like to know more about the processing part
Well,
of it.
for us, our process is basically pulled on, like all our household herbs and spices are in powder form.
Mhm.
All of them are in powder form. So what
And how
happens
do
is
you?
when the product,
Okay, sorry.
sorry,
How do you? How do you do? How is the process of putting it to powder form?
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So it
Okay.
depends on the kind of product that is being processed. So, for instance, the
Mhm.
processing for things like rosemary and the processing for something like garlic are not the same, because
Yeah.
one is a tuber and the other one is a leaf, but both are
Mhm.
spices. So what happens is when it's time to let me use garlic is a bit of a long process. Once the
Mhm.
garlic is harvested from the farm, it's
Mhm.
uncloved. Once it is uncloved, it has to be sliced and diced into smaller pieces. The smaller the pieces, the better, because when they're put in the dehydration machine, if they are put in a dehydration machine in their clove form, they will take a very
Mhm.
long time to dry. So what happens is they're chopped up. They're chopped up into small micro pieces. Even if they're minced, it's better. But chopping up into small micro pieces is usually better. Then you put them in a dehydrator. Inside the dehydrator, depending on the moisture content, but it takes about 8 hours to dry, give or take quarter of a ton. Then from there, the quarter of a ton is taken out, it's biscuit dry. You
Mhm.
put it in a nice grinder. Once it's in the grinder, you just choose your sieve, because different kinds of sieve produce different kind of granules. Ours is extra fine.
Mhm.
So we put a sieve that is extra fine. Once that is done, the powder comes out. It is pure. We don't put any additives. We don't put any preservatives. It is as pure as it comes from the farm to the dehydrator straight into the packet. Is for something like garlic, something like onions. They're in the same family. But now, when it
Yeah.
comes to a product like rosemary, it's a bit different, because rosemary, it's way thin. Their leaves, you'll probably not even take more than 4 hours to do quarter of a ton in terms of drying. So different herbs have different methods and ways in which you choose to process them and extract whatever it is that you're extracting, depending on the needs of the client at the moment.
Okay, good information. So how do you ensure that the processing part of it is not contaminated when it comes to maybe the what you've said about the onion groups? How do you make sure that it's not contaminated at all?
That's very easy. As I've mentioned, our model is a partnership model that is focusing more on being or having people around us in terms of our networks who are very good at what they do. For instance, we have the first people on the ground who are the aggregators.
Mhm.
These are companies that solely focus on aggregation and producing quality products from farmers.
Mhm.
And then we have those who have dehydrators. So call them the dehydrators. These are people who have facilities, and those facilities have been built to the specs and standards of KEBS and KIFIS and all these other regulatory bodies that make sure that whatever it is that we are consuming as a public is fit for human consumption. So those are people who are focused, and the only thing they do and they do very well is ensure quality product in terms of the raw material that has come from the aggregators. So one of the ways we have found out that we can guarantee our clients the product is of good quality is partnering up with people whose specialty is what we need at the moment.
Okay, so thank you so much for the information. Let me take you behind maybe on, no, let's not only major on the organization. Maybe an advice to a farmer who maybe wants to do it at home about the processing, because I hear some do even the microwave drying or the traditional drying. Can you advise them to do that when it comes to the drying of spices?
Yeah, it's very easy to actually dehydrate your spices in the house. Spices that you can buy in the supermarket, spices that you can
Mhm.
actually do a home garden, spices that you can do a pot garden. The beauty about spices, you don't even need a lot of space, like literally a pot garden. You know those small pots that people put in the balcony? Do you know instead of flowers you can actually put spices? You can plant chives, you can plant thyme, you can plant rosemary. There are so many spices that you can be able to plant in your kitchen and guarantee a constant supply of fresh herbs and spices, and you can dehydrate using an oven. It is extremely easy. It is something I'd encourage anyone to do. But if you want to do it commercially, you know there's a difference between doing spices for home consumption and doing spices for commercial use. So for commercial use, of course, you can't do it from. You'll get into a lot of trouble with the regulatory bodies, I can assure you. Um, but if you just want to do something for, so my first question would be, do they want to do it for commercial use or do they want to do it for home use? Because the dynamics between these two things are very, very different. Sorry, your microphone went off. I can't hear you. Just come again, please.
Okay, I'm saying let's talk about both of the ways. Maybe a farmer wants to do it just for the home use, and others want to do it for.
Okay, now if someone is to do it for home use, that's not a farmer.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just doing it as a hobby.
Yeah,
Doing it,
sure.
doing it, doing it for home use. Yeah, doing it for home use is very easy. Just take your pot. These people who sell trees on the roadside. You've seen them. They sell flowers, trees everywhere. Every major road in Kenya has them. Every major road. Just go and tell them to give you a few spices. It's 50 shillings, 30 shillings per tree. They usually need for a home garden, you need like four, five, six. You don't need many, you know. Put them in the pot, start watering, and after 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you'll start enjoying the fruits of your labor. So that's very easy. But now if you're doing it commercially now we break down into other dynamics. First of all, we start with the simple two questions of what are you planting? Why do you want to plant it? Because herbs and spices have various dynamics and reasons as to why people will want to plant them. Some people will want to plant them solely for medical purposes. Some people will want to plant them to make money. Some people will want. So why would they want to plant them? That's very important. And then you get to what they can plant, not necessarily what they want to plant. Because a mistake that I have seen once upon a time, I was a traditional farmer. And we were the kind of farmers who would hear stories of so and so has planted onions. It's the season for onions. And they've planted onions probably in Oloitoktok. Okay. Me, I'm in Goripa and I'm thinking I can also plant the same onions. But you see, the two places have two very different climatic conditions, so the production value of the two places might not necessarily be exactly the same. Okay, so you'll find someone wanting to plant something because they had this thing has money. Ikitu in a dough, and they end up messing up. Okay, so it's also very important as a farmer to know why you want to plant, what you want to plant, and then it's not necessarily what you want to plant but what you can plant in the place where you actually want to plant. Because yeah, various herbs and spices require various climatic conditions. And then from there now, for the farmer, the other thing I'd ask the farmer even before they start planting, I'd ask, what is your market? Where is your market? And when it comes to market, I would encourage any farmer to have three kinds of market. Have your primary, secondary, and tertiary market. Because I can assure you, things on the ground go differently when you're harvesting. Or rather, things can go differently. Your primary market will what if your primary market bounces you? You have a you have a secondary market. What if your secondary market bounces you? You have a tertiary market. So that's where now, even as a farmer, every farmer who asks me to give them a recommendation or advice in relation to farming in the herbs and spices world, one of the things I'd encourage them is to get into value addition in one shape, form, or the other. Yeah. So that's how I distinguish between someone who just wants to plant for fun and someone who wants to plant for commercial use.
It for commercial use. And you said that once you were a tradition, you used to do the traditional way. And I think the drying them in using the sun, I hear that it reduces the quality. I think, is that correct? Are you with us?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm just wondering who told you that the sun reduces.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people say that, depending with the research that I've done. Is it true,
Really?
or in the traditional way they should use the sun to dry the spices? Because others, they, I don't know, they say that it evaporates the oil,
No.
and all those myths. Is it true, or they should try it?
From my experience,
Mhm.
the best co-worker of nature is nature. The best co-worker of nature is nature. Okay. Um, the only disadvantage about sun drying is that it takes long. That's one of the biggest disadvantages of sun drying. It takes a long time because something that would take you 8 hours can take you 3 days if you're sun drying. But when it comes to quality, I believe sun drying produces better quality than machine quality. It's a simple case. It's a simple case of synthetic and it's a simple case of synthetic and organic. It's like trying to argue that synthetic meat is better than natural organic meat. And an argument is coming like that, and research will be done. And by very, very big institutions, they will come out and say research that this synthetic meat that we are making in a laboratory is better and more nutritious than the meat you're getting from a cow or a chicken. It is coming. I can assure you that one is coming. There's a research that will come. But you see, someone with an argument has very little to say to someone with the experience and the testimony. Yeah. So I personally don't believe that sun dried herbs and spices have a less quality. I believe they have a better quality because they're being dried by a natural entity as it's supposed to be. Probably what you just need to do is watch on how they are dried because I have dried rosemary. I have dried rosemary in a machine and I have dried rosemary outside. The only disadvantage is that you cannot regulate very well the sun. That's the only disadvantage. But there are mitigations to that. Nowadays, there are solar dryers. There are some nice solar dryers, cheap to produce, cheap to make. You can be able to come up with them and you can be able to very easily fabricate and do your own drying and do your own. Because at the end of the day, think about it. Yeah. Think about it. A farmer who sells products that are natural, a farmer who sells products that have chemicals, and a farmer who sells products that are organic. Who do you think will earn, who will have the most expensive product? Chances are it's the one that's organic. Why? Because the quality is better. Yeah. So Many of those theories, many of those studies are good, yes. I do not dispute them because I'm not a scientist per se, but we need sometimes to take them with a bit of, with a pinch of salt and a lot more brain than we are currently taking, consuming them. That would be my recommendation, honestly.
From the organization that is bringing the spices to you guys, does the climate affect what you're getting? Or does
What do
it
you mean the climate?
affect your marketing when it comes to selling them?
I don't understand. Just rephrase that question, please.
Okay, depending with the moment right now, like the climate is it's very unpredictable. Some places there is drought where people used to get a lot of produce, and even sometimes what you're expecting from the farmers is not what you get. You get maybe less produce. Does it affect you guys in any way when you're getting the produce? And does it affect your market and the expectation that the consumers need from you guys?
Well, not necessarily, because you see, when it comes to herbs and spices, especially how we are doing it, it's very easy to stock up. So when the season comes up, like let's say there is a avocado season is checking in, okay, and things are going to get crazy, and export is going to be there. So what happens is um, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the avocado, and one of the herbs that we have is the avocado pit powder. Okay, so what happens is we just stock up. Season is coming. We know the season is coming. So if we need avocado pit powder, we're just going to stock up. We're just going to dehydrate quite a bit, enough to get us into the next season. And you know our products are dehydrated, so we don't have spoilage. Storage is pretty easy. Nowadays we have those special. However, there are those special bags that you can be able to double tie and vacuum seal, literally. So you have a brick of a product that can last for almost 18 months and it will still be as potent. So it's very easy to stock up in the nature of business that we are doing.
Thank you for that, for the information of that. So when it comes to packaging of the spices and herbs, how are you guys packaging them to make sure that the quality is still okay? There is no spoilage of anything. How is the packaging like when it comes to the spices and herbs?
We're packaging our spices is because of what the market demanded. Our spices are in sachets.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is, when you think about it, the normal trend of spices in Kenya ever since I was a child is we were always sold spices in block cans. They were always in a can, either tin can or plastic can, tin can or plastic can. Okay,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and how people used to cook. I remember how my mom used to cook. She even does it to date. She opens the spice and uh, measures with the cup
Yeah.
and pours. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask her how much have you put, she won't know. Or
Yeah,
anyone
they
who's
can't
cooking,
tell.
they can't tell. So
Mm-hmm.
we cook by what we call by eye. Kupika
Yeah.
kwa macho. You cook by
Imagination.
eye. Yes, you cook by heart. So one of the things is that we saw that was an issue in the market. So what happens is we started packing our 100 gram spices into sachets. So one box of our spice box has 34 sachets inside of 3 grams each. That's like a teaspoon. Yeah. So for us, one of the things is that we saw in the market that there was a problem in terms of people would not know how much spice they've put in a particular dish so that they can get the same consistency next dish. So that was already a problem. Okay. We saw another problem of caking. What happens is People don't use spices very often or in every single meal. Or rather, if someone has like 10 spices, they will not use all the 10 spices all the time, every time. So spices in someone's house can last for quite a while. So it was very important for us to have a spice or to create a system that does not coagulate, that doesn't cake, sorry, that doesn't cake. So that's why there are also the kind of packaging that we've put guarantees that when someone buys that spice today and then 10 months down the line, when they open it, it will just be as the same. It will just be similar as if they had opened it on the first day. The potency is guaranteed. The potency is maintained. So those are some of the mitigations in which we have taken to guarantee and ensure that our spices are of good quality and the clients enjoy them and have an experience while cooking. Mhm.
In any way, or it's an advantage compared to any other crops?
I think it's an advantage because herbs and spices are some of the few products that cut across the board. You can actually have herbs and spices for breakfast in your breakfast meal. You can have herbs and spices in your 10 o'clock tea. You can have some form of herbs and spices in your lunchtime food. You can have
Yeah.
some herbs and spices in your evening food and even in your evening tea before you sleep. So herbs and spices can actually be covered quite literally in every single human meal. So I think when it comes to herbs and spices in the industry that in the space that we are in, I honestly think it's an advantage. I only think herbs and spices is an advantage because it covers a wider spectrum. And it also covers not only the food industry, but also the medicine industry. Most of these herbs and spices, you actually alluded to it, are actually quite medicinal. So people will not only take herbs and spices because they want their food to taste good. They will take herbs and spices because they also want to be healthy. Yeah. Our herbs and spices also, they also jump into a totally different world, which is non-edibles of the cosmetic world. We have things like turmeric mask. So those are some of the things that make me feel and encourage anyone who wants to do herbs and spices. It's worth your time, it's worth your research. Just choose where you want to plug into and then come on board. Hmm.
Market of herbs and spices within the country, or would you advise them to export them? Which one is more profitable, depending with your
Two, sorry,
experience?
finish.
Depend on different farmers in the country right now. Would you advise them to
Uh-huh.
consider the marketing of their produce within the country, or would you advise them to do export, depending with your experience in the field?
Not only anyone in herbs and spices, but anyone right now getting into any form of processing. I'd advise them to think of the world as your market. Kenya is a very good starting ground. This is this is
Yeah.
this is ground zero. This is a home base. But especially the young people who are getting into we are the ones who we are getting into processing, the ones who we are getting into this kind of manufacturing. Please, let's think global. Let's think global. By all means, do your level best. Right now, selling things globally has become easier with the whole aspect of the World Wide Web. There are so many tools that you can be able to use to start selling some things global. We have sold locally and sold a few things globally, and we honestly prefer globally. As of this year, our primary focus is actually a global market, not even a local market. That's what we are. That's where our mind is. I would encourage anyone to go global and go all out. Think outside there. That's where the market is. That's where the many people are. That's where the money is.
Okay, and do you think the government is helping farmers in exporting the produce, or in marketing in any way? Do you think the government is helping you guys when it comes to exporting and marketing of the produce, as from the farming part of it, and even you guys when it comes to selling?
Actually, one of the reasons why some of us were able to get into processing is because of some of the institutions that the government have put to incubate young entrepreneurs who want this particular line of business but do not have machineries. Institutions like Kirdi, institutions like Kefis, NEMA, and all these institutions that work together with the big boys, believe it or not, they have actually started heavily investing with the young people who do not have equipment. For instance, we literally to date don't own even one equipment, not even one, you know, at all. But we have a product in the market because we managed to be incubated in a government institution that had a subsidized rate for entrepreneurs. And we were able from there to use it as a springboard to now start getting our certifications, to get our barcode, to get our whatnot, and all these things that we needed. We bounced from the institution that we were in. We have a government right now that is genuinely encouraging young people to get not only into agriculture but getting into agri processing, and encouraging people to have finished products moving from Kenya to the shelves, not from Kenya to a factory. So for me, I believe that so far the government is doing a good job in encouraging young people to get into agro processing, not agriculture. The two are not the same. Probably one day you'll invite me, we just do the difference between agriculture and agro processing. They are not the same at all, at all, at all. My goodness. Watch out. We have no, we don't even have time for that. But honestly speaking, I believe more can be done, yes. But so far we're on the right track. Yeah. So far we're on the right track. Yeah.
About the government, what are the other roles do you think the government should do for the farmers and for you guys to make sure that the economy is at its best? What do you think are the roles which the government should still put across that they've not yet done?
Put receiver centers. We have receiver centers. You see, for instance, um, whichever country, whichever country we do business with, Britain, let's use Britain, former colonizers. So what happens is, if Kenya would have a receiver agency in the embassy there, where some products can come from here, okay? I can't say in a right now the way I am, but 10 of us can probably fill, 10 of us in the same field, in the herbs and spices field, probably fill a full container. There's a Kenya receiver agency on the other side that picks and distributes these products. And their sole purpose is to focus on entrepreneurs, MSMEs. If we can have something like that, where we can be able to have a guaranteed market out there, because there are people producing some excellent products out here. Oh man, but in small scale. But I've met people doing incredible stuff, especially in the value addition. There's someone who does chili. There's another one whose focuses is on honey. There's another one who focuses on herbs and spices like us. It's a beautiful conglomerate that can actually benefit quite a bit, especially when it comes to thinking about export and revenue that we can be able to generate as a country, as young people. As an individual, I might be very minute, or rather, I might not be someone you can consider to be able to be a worthy investment in contributing to the as such. Someone might think like that. But 2,000 like me, 2,000 people like me who can be able to push some certain volumes, you'd be surprised what we can do if we be able to have guaranteed market on the other side. That's one of the things that I think if we can be able to do, tutakwambele, man.
Even to the marketing part of it, do you think the government should at least adjust something, or at least reduce the cost of transition in any way? Are you on air?
Sorry.
I'm asking about the taxation part of it when it comes to the government, as we are talking about the government roles. Do
Mhm.
you think taxation has any effect when it comes to the manufacturing and the processing of the spices? Do you think taxation is affecting you guys? And do you think the government should at least put some consideration when it comes to taxation?
Well, yeah, of course, tax affects. If the farmer is taxed high in terms of things like fuel for pumping water, the water itself, if the levies for fertilizers are not subsidized, of course their production cost will be very high. In order for them to get any form of profit, they will need to put those extra charges onto us who are buying from the farmer. Okay. Now, let's say the person who's consolidating this particular product also incurs some few extra taxes, or 3% here, 4% here, an extra 13% here, what percent here. All those percentages will transcend onto the next one. So when I am doing a finished product, depending on how much I have been charged through, starting from the farmer, I will also charge the consumer the same. So at the end of the day, taxes do trickle down to the consumer when it's all said and done. And if it so happens that we can have a little bit of mitigation in terms of, or the other day the fertilizers were being subsidized, which is very good. If you can be able to get some good subsidies in relation to the seeds, which is very good, and so on and so forth. Again, the opposite will happen. It will transcend down to the consumer. So the consumer will be able to afford products that ideally would have been very expensive if left unchecked, but now they can be able to afford them fairly comfortably because the taxes would have been less, the working capital requirements would have been less, and hence, therefore, the purchasing of this particular product would be less.
So how do you think we should go about the taxation when it comes to the produce from the farm to the transportation and even to the export part of it, and even you as you're manufacturing it? How do you think we should go all around when it comes to taxation?
Taxes should be kept reasonably low, and we should have special considerations, which they are there. There are special considerations where if you earn a certain, if your company does from this amount to this particular amount, you're eligible to this percentage, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. I think that system works at the moment. What the pain about taxation is not necessarily how much tax people are paying, or where exactly they are paying. The pain of taxation comes in if people are paying taxes and then the systems are not working. You see, that becomes a problem. That becomes there are countries I believe that are taxed way higher than us, but their systems are working and they're working excellently. So we don't really feel the pinch. So if I'm paying taxes as a farmer, even if I pay 30, 32, 40%, but then I can get my products from here to Kazakhstan, or Baltimore or somewhere, and I know for a fact that yes, I'm paying my taxes here, but within those taxes, there's a facilitation that is going to guarantee a market for my product. Chances of lamenting will be very, very minimal because I will be generating revenue. So even if the government picks their share, their due share, I'll have no issue with it because I know this 70% that I have, or this 60% that I have, if I did not give out this 40% that the government is taking, or this 30% that the government is taking, I will not enjoy this 70%. So we need to look at it. I look at it from that particular perspective when it comes to taxation. Taxation is good, yes, but we need to have some considerations, especially for the young manufacturer. There's no way a young processor, such as myself, can be charged under the same laws and regulations as someone who's doing tons and tons of volumes per day. Yeah, so those regulations and those considerations should be implemented and be put into play in favor of those who want to get into processing and manufacturing, because that's how any economy will blossom. Any economy that focuses on processing and manufacturing will blossom by any standards when you look at it in any shape or form, honestly. Mhm.
Are the taxation too much, and how should the farmers go about them?
You know, when you're talking about taxes and outside the country,
Mm-hmm.
um, there there are agencies, there are clearing agencies that you can get on the other side
Mm-hmm.
that will deal with taxations on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are clearing agencies on this side
Mm-hmm.
that will deal with taxations and everything on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So all you need to do is learn how to pay the right person to do the right job.
Mm-hmm.
This particular courier, when you get a courier, because you need a forwarder from here to there. You can't take it by foot. You need a forwarder. You need a courier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell your courier to give you the full amount,
Mm-hmm.
everything, taxes, nini, everything. They will
Mm-hmm.
send you an invoice, send
Mm-hmm.
the money, and the product will go. When it reaches the other side, it is the problem of the person on the other side since they have already bought. That's also very important for farmers to learn, especially when you're doing small scale. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You tell them you're selling farm gate. You tell them you're buying things from me in Kenya. I will put
Mm-hmm.
them in UPS or DHL,
Mm-hmm.
or FedEx or whoever. I will put the products there, and the products will come to you. When they get to you, they are yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Pay me my money, deal with the taxations on the other side. Focus on what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good in production, focus on production.
Mm-hmm.
Produce. If you're good
Sure.
in processing, process it. Then
Mm-hmm.
get people who are good with export and taxation, they will help you. So zingine, we just bring so much stress on ourselves for nothing, honestly speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That but
And
that's just my deduction from my own experience. I could be wrong.
mm-hmm. And where do farmers get these people who will help them in exportation of those produce? Because a lot of them, they
Are you?
don't know where to get
No.
that help,
No,
and
no,
where
no,
to
no.
get the
Not that they
right
don't
people.
know.
As you said,
No,
there
no.
should be right
That's
people
that
to be paid.
that's now that's normally just an excuse. In this day and age, you can't say you
Mhm.
don't know. In this day and
Yeah.
age, let's just stop that nonsense. Let's just stop that nonsense as young people starting saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Sasa tunatoa wapi? Sasa wako wapi?"
Mm-hmm.
Hawa wase-" No,
Yeah.
no. Let's just stop
Mm-hmm.
nonsense, please. There is no
Mm-hmm.
way you can know what Rihanna is going to sing in the Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
4 months before she sings. 4 months
Yeah.
before she sings. And you,
Mm-hmm.
you, you want to tell me you cannot go online to research and find out some of the exporters who can help you get your product from Kenya to another country.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop this foolishness as young people sometimes too. We blame so much. Whatever we want externally, whatever we want internally, we blame external
Mm-hmm.
forces for not having. And
Mm-hmm.
little do you know that the reason as to why your product is not where it's supposed to be or the product is not where you want it to be is because of your own
Mm-hmm.
foolishness and absence of understanding.
Sure.
Just go online, Google.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse. Now we have Chat GTP. That
Mm-hmm.
thing is a beast. What it can do is a beast. Google is coming up with the other one. It's called what? Bird or Bat or which one? Bard. BARD.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So all these search engines are there to make your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to come and tell me now, where do I get these people? Are you online? Surely. Are you online? Have you
Sure.
tried looking online? Have you?
Mm-hmm.
you know so someone hasn't done that yet, and then they're wondering how to get their product out there, and someone right now will be saying, so you just tell us. No, go research, bana. Go research. You know where to find these things. Go research. They are there. I have found them. They are there.
Because a lot of farmers are complaining that the transport cost from the farm to you as the manufacturers, it's very expensive, because they encounter the illegal barriers, they encounter the sales taxes, they encounter a lot of things, and the fuel price is very high. Do you think in any way that that the transportation part of it from the farm to the manufacturers as you people, do you think it affects you in any way, and how do you go about it? Because I know it also increases the prices of the spices.
Nothing to do with me per se,
Have you
because
got
the
me
person
well?
who's, yeah, now I've got you. You see, when it comes to transportation, the transportation of the product itself is already included in the amount of money that I'm going to pay. So
Yeah.
I am going to hire people whose main business is transportation of herbs and spices to Nairobi. You understand? So at the end of the day, the headache of transportation, the headache of getting that product from there to here is not on me. It's on the company that I have subcontracted to bring that product from point A to point B. I just want the product here by this time. How much is it going to cost me? It's going to cost me X amount of money. So you might find the difference. Probably today it's going to cost me 185 Kenya shillings per kg to transport. Then the next week the price goes high and it will probably go to around 195. The difference usually doesn't bounce to thrice or something like that. It doesn't go so much. And the reason to the increase of the 10 shillings will probably be the fuel levy or something like that. But you see, they have already incorporated all these costs in the invoice that they're going to send me. All I need to make sure is that is the invoice favorable. So for instance, I will say, so for this particular product, if it's cardamom, I say for cardamom, I have a window budget of 200 Kenya shillings per kg. That's the product is coming from whichever part of the country or whichever part of Africa, depending on the volumes. This is the budget that I have. And the window that I have is 200 Kenya shillings. And that one will include transportation, dehydration, everything that product lands on my table. Okay? That's what I want. So I will look for people who can be able to fit within that budget and give me exactly what I need. And they're always there. So that's how we need to mitigate, and that's how I found a way, an easier way to mitigate some of these issues that we have, where you'll find a farmer trying to do everything. There are the guys who are trying to farm, then there are the guys trying to be the brokers, then there are the guys who are trying to handle the transportation, then the guys trying to handle the marketing. Same person. Why? Because they want to eat everything. That is foolishness, my dear. When it comes to agribusiness, the cake is so big we cannot finish. Okay? So if I am good in production, that's what I will do. You're good in transportation. We are all in agricultural business. Why don't we form a conglomerate, basically a chain of companies that symbiotically feed on each other for the success of the next one, for the next one, the next one? It's as simple as that.
We will come back. And before that, we've talked about transportation. And here's a project that we're dealing with, which is ATLS, which is sponsored by UK Tech Hub and UK Aid, which helps in reducing the transportation costs from the farm to wherever the produce is going. And it's measured in Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa, which is very interesting. A lot of farmers are coming from that place. And this project solves a lot of issues when it comes to transportation. Talk about the illegal barriers which farmers and the transportation meaning the transportation companies are facing. Talk about the poor infrastructures of the road. Talk about the cess taxes. All of these, the ATLS caters of all around this, which really helps the transportation part of it. Thank you very much for sticking with us up to this time. Let's meet after the break. Welcome back, our viewers, those who are watching us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Alpha Mass Media. Thank you very much for sticking with us up to this time. And we are still on the show with our big question of the day. What do you know about herbs and spices? We were having our guest on air who has really explained to us about the manufacturing part of it. We've discussed about the transportation part of it, how it's affecting you as a farmer and even affecting them as the manufacturers, and a lot of it. So if you've not watched it, kindly watch it. It's very important. And for those who are still with us, thank you very much for being with us, where we will still continue discussing about what do you know about herbs and spices. Where right now we will talk about all about the land preparation, how the spices are being harvested. You as a farmer, what are the effects that you're facing through when it comes to herbs and spices and the farming of it. So let me welcome our guest here. Amepita tu akapita tu
Nimepitia nikasema hapana.
You
I have to
join
ask.
us.
Yes, I have to ask Mr.
Welcome
Odipo
very
some question.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. No, Anasiali here. I finished my show in the morning
Karibu
and I
sana.
said, hebu nipitie hapa kidogo. Labda naweza ongezewa kamshahara kidogo. Yes, thank you. I was listening to the interview with Odipo. I don't know if he's still there. Ah, good. Odipo, hi, how are you?
How are you?
Fine. No, I hear.
I've always wanted to meet you actually. Always. I've always watched your shows and wondered, when will this man
Sorry,
call
I
me?
can't
When
hear you.
will I be?
I can't hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, I was saying I've always watched you online and wondered when you'll call me on your show. Yeah, I always I always wondered when will I be worthy to be on your show. Very happy to be here. Your sound has disappeared. The sound has disappeared. I can't hear you guys. I can see you guys, but I can't hear you guys.
Now, what about now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Now.
Fantastic. Yes. Great information, great insights about hubs. For some reason, I didn't know you do hubs, so I saw your name.
Right now, produce is not hard to get. Honestly, our biggest challenge is actually export market. The produce are very easy to get because the products that we process are very easy to plant. When you think about something like rosemary can literally grow anywhere. Yes. So the products that we are processing, the chili, right now we have a flood of chili. I have inquiries of people selling chili from here to Afghanistan and back. Everyone has products. So when it comes to product, honestly speaking, people have product, and that is only in Kenya. We have not even moved to our neighbors. Yeah, we have not even moved to our neighbors in Uganda. And these are people, just these three countries. Those are the three countries that supply all our products. And right now, the volumes are there.
Quality you like, type, or chili for,
No, no,
for,
no,
for
no.
value
Chili,
addition.
no. For value addition, it depends. So there are some clients who love very hot chili, like very, very hot chili. So we'll get farmers who are planting something like habanero. And most of those farmers are not in Kenya, they're in Uganda. So you'll get some other farmer. No, you'll get some other clients now who their palate is not so hot. They want something that is a bit mild but a bit sweet. So we'll do something like ABE, African Bird's Eye, or Demon. Then there are others now who prefer the sweetness, yes, but they go more for the medicinal value. So we'll take something like Cayenne. And then now there are those who There are those now who just want the test period without the bitter. Then now those ones now we will process bell pepper or capsicums for them.
Very
So
interesting. So
different palette of
let me ask, sorry to cut you short. Let me ask, so how do you determine as a farmer, what kind of heat quality? You know, heat quality. You direct, I'm
it's called a
translated
shoe.
directly from my mother tongue.
Actually, actually, it's called what you're looking for. It's called a shoe. SHU. It's the unit that chili hotness is measured. You see the way water liquid and liters.
Me that he wants chilies with between 35,000 to 40,000 SKU. So me, in my IT background, I thought is square unit. Anyway, now I know that. Just explain to us that. So that variation of heat, the heat value required. How does a farmer know which? Because I don't think it's normally written in in the chili seeds. I mean, most of us are tunakamua mbegu ya chilies.
It depends the color.
Hey, how do you determine the heat quality?
On the product, the seed in which you're planting. For instance, I've already mentioned a number of seeds. I've mentioned habanero. Habanero is a very different seed. Anyone who's planting habanero, just know they're planting extremely hot chili. Anyone who's planting cayenne pepper, they know they're not planting extremely hot chili. Anyone who's planting bell pepper, they're planting extremely mild chili. Anyone who's planting demon or African bird's eye, they know they're planting hot sweet chili. So it all depends on the seed that you're planting, and the standards have already been set. That's the good part. We don't have to measure. Honestly speaking, if right now you go online, I was telling I was mentioning to Nema the other time, you go online right now and just type the SKUs or the HU value of all the chilies in the world. A list will appear. All you need to know is know the name of chili and know its SHU or SKU.
There was a question that I wanted to ask. There was this thing that was there during just before COVID. I think it was like Kenyan chilies have to be grown under insect net because of the false coding moth. Is it the same now, or is that ban was lifted?
That one, I think that one was just a precaution because the for scolding moth, that thing destroyed the market, man. Wow, 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 wow. But you see, that one is a big disadvantage to people and farmers who are doing fresh produce. And that's why, Nema, now you can see why I was telling you that anyone who's being taken into farming right now, I encourage them to get into agri processing. Because, for instance, the for scalding moth cannot survive the heat of a dehydrator. That thing will die. You see. So someone who is planting to export fresh, their products will be returned. Someone who is planting for processing, and both of them have been attacked by for scalding moth, only one will benefit. In fact, one from the other one, because atarudishiwa. People have returns, you know. Yeah. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's one of the reasons why, because that thing really messed the market. The for scolding moth, and it's a menace. Ooh, woo, it destroyed quite a bit. It's quite a, but 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 the secret of fighting, one of the best secrets I've come to find of fighting for scolding moth is getting into processing. Kill those things, one.
Let me ask you. That's a way of running away from false coding moth, which is an advantage. What are the odds of? I think you guys have discussed this, but what I just wanted to find out is what are the odds of processing? Because I strongly believe I am that kind of farmer who believes that value addition agro processing is not for a normal farmer. I don't know. Me, I think I look at it like a totally different industry. It's a yeah. What do you think about that? I don't know if you guys.
Okay, I would like him to talk more about that.
Especially the one I think that was ilikuwa inatoka the old 844 system, leave this new one. Do you know how I can tell? I can already tell because what we were taught in that system, we were taught the idea of agriculture that we were taught was honestly a very wrong kind of like way. We were taught that agriculture was for peasants. We were taught that agriculture is something that you need to move away from. Okay? That's what we were taught. That's what the education system was actually built to make us think and make us believe. Okay, it removed us, or rather, it removed the whole idea and concept that you can be a multi-billionaire in dollars because of farming. And the moment that thing was removed from the mentality of the educated young African, I can assure you, you will not be able to see any form of value when it comes to money. I mean, when it comes to farming, you will not see any form of value, because all you have seen is poverty with farming, poverty with farming. But let's look at it from a realistic point of view. Sawa sawa. Let's look at it from a realistic point of view. When it comes to processing, what is processing? Okay? Processing is as little as this. Do you know a chili farmer, any chili farmer right now in Kenya, any chili farmer, any, can actually start value addition by the simple fact that atoe pilipili zake kwa shamba aanike. They just need to remove the chili from the farm and spread them on the sun. Let them dry. By the virtue of that chili being sun dried, that is already value addition. That is already value addition. Okay? I've done value addition in Mumias. In Mumias. I have done value addition in Mumias of chili, and I only had, oh, really? Oh, Mumias. Right there, Mumias Mission. That's
I'm about to
Mission.
start making
Mumias
phone
Mission.
calls. I've never seen chilies in Mumias.
I have
just see
done.
the
Now, let me shock you.
yeah.
Let me shock you.
Uh-huh.
My grandmother had a very small patch of chili as a bush. I took chili from that bush. I dried juu ya mabati. Okay? I ground into powder using what do you call what do you call this this what do you call it in English? A mortar. Mortar. A mortar. I used a mortar, and that made extremely hot, potent, about 300 grams of very potent chili from one bush. One bush. And I distributed it to my parents' house, distributed it to my grandfather's house because he loved chili, distributed it to my uncle's house, my auntie's house. One bush, one boy, and I was still a teenager. So what is the excuse? What is the excuse of a farmer who has a whole farm and has been farming for 15 years? It's basically more or less what information is what I was explaining to Nema the other time. People are just lazy to get information. People are just lazy to get information, number one. And number two, people are very comfortable. People are very comfortable. I'm sure. Okay, you come from Mumias. Mumias is very well known for sugarcane.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I have met farmers who are very comfortable with just planting for Mumias sugar.
Yes.
If you can tell them to try to planting like a sweet beet, you tell them you can plant a sweet beet fruit, and that sweet beet fruit, you can produce your own sugar in your own house. They'll tell you, "Ay, tawe bwana, tawe. No, no, thank you. No, thank you. I am just happy. I'm just happy. I'm just happy planting for Mumias. You know,
Lazy? Is it being too comfortable, or is it that this organization? Because for me, one thing that we've mentioned about Umia Sugar, I don't think it really went down just because of the loans. I think that farmers were not sensitized to grow better varieties that had faster returns. I mean, going back to the chilies, I've never seen chilies growing. I know that there's some chilies. We know in Shags what we normally have on the fence. There's normally a kind of small one. We normally call it tear gas. Like a very small
those
one,
ones.
very hot.
That's the
Yeah, so let me ask you, how can we go around this lack of information, comfort, and lack of extension services as well? What do you think can be done, especially for herbs and spices? I mean, let's just talk about chilies.
Just show we live in a society where people listen with their eyes, not their ears. People are listening with their eyes. Let's just show them. Like literally, the chili you have mentioned is actually the same chili I processed in Mumias. One of the things people don't know is that one of the things farmers don't know is that that small African bird's eye chili yenye inaitwa tear gas grows
Yes.
extremely well in Mumias. In fact, it grows so well in Mumias, you do not need to till it, tend it, or anything. It is something
Seriously?
you find. It's a very common plant in homesteads in Mumias. It's
Yes.
very common, and it grows just like that. But for a very long time, the farmers have been told sugarcane, 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 sugarcane,
Yeah,
sugarcane,
they don't want to
sugarcane,
Let me
plant
tell you,
any other crop.
Neema, let me tell you, even and Mr. Odipo here will be my witness. A banana is more expensive in Mumias
More
than in Nairobi.
what?
Yeah,
You
Yes.
don't
yeah,
want to
In
it's true.
fact,
share.
Oh
In
yeah,
fact, even sugar itself is more expensive in Mumias.
it's more
than in-
Than
expensive.
in Nairobi.
Yeah. So
The irony.
so
The irony.
when it comes to the chilies, I had I mean earlier on the show I had you talking about value addition in terms of uh, how can farmers when you say showing farmers about this value addition, what does that look like? Is it going there, doing it there, or how does that look like?
That information, who have that understanding, yeah?
Mhm.
Going to Mumias, okay? And just picking 5 farmers, not even many, 5 to 10 farmers who have a small bush of chili in their compound. Sawa sawa.
Yeah.
One bush of chili, I can guarantee you can produce at least half a kg of pure powder chili.
Really?
Sawa sawa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the demon bush, all
Yes,
those
yes.
chilies, and they sprout after 14 days. After 14 days, 14 days, they sprout. Oh, it's
Oh
beautiful.
yes.
Those chilies are very good. We make simple powder, sawa sawa, and then show them the commercial value of that small powder. Because there are some farmers in Mumias, with quarter an acre of herbs and spices. They can earn more money than 4-5 acres of maize or sugarcane that they have. But they do not know. But all they need to do is be seen. They need to see. We just show them that this thing is actually practical and possible. And with the age of technology nowadays, you don't need big machines to start anything important. You don't. I, as a teenager, did it with hot mabati, hot iron mabati, and a mortar. Period. That's all I needed. And a sieve. It was hard work, but I did it.
How do you when you receive the produce now for processing? Is there anything that you check from? I mean, do you check that produce or you just take it and process? I mean, does it come green or red for you to start processing?
It's already been checked and processed. The QA, the quality assurance, doesn't when the product is in the factory or inside the machine. Your QA needs to start from your seedling. Yeah. So our quality assurance, our QA is always good to start feeling where a farmer can be able to give you a history. We know this particular thing is from this particular farm. We know this particular thing is coming from here and it's going here. So your QA starts from the farm, and every company that we have subcontracted to do the process that we need at that particular time are very good in QA. So that's how we mitigate and make sure that the product is of quality from the seed to the sufuria.
So, do you observe this? There's this new standard. I was talking to Gideon earlier, and he was mentioning about the KS 1758. Is that something that farmers need to have, or mimi niko na mzee amepanda miwa, amekata miwa, nimepanda pilipili yangu 3 months, obviously 3 months miwa bado haijapanuka, nimeweka chili yangu, I've brought for you chili. Do I need to observe any standard, ama it's just evil?
Well, you do need to observe standards if you want your product to be quality. You can plant all you want to plant, but if your product does not produce anything quality, you'll not sell. So it is actually for the benefit of the farmer to make sure that they meet such standards. Because for instance, if a farmer comes and tells me I'm planting chili today, ndamwambia sawa, we panda chili. Then they plant chili, then 3 months down the line, they tell me you can come and harvest. If the product is below average, I'll not buy. So it will be a loss to the farmer. So the farmer will end up having products that they cannot eat, they cannot do anything with, but all because they did not observe some standards that were recommended by an institution or two that is looking out for the welfare of them as farmers.
About the standards, as you said that maybe you
Yes.
could encourage 5 farmers or maybe 2, 3 in a Mumias to plant the chili.
It's called momias.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the correction.
We had to, we come from the throne.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Okay, the 5 or 3 farmers from Mumias, should they consider this how the soil looks like, or the fertilizers, the diseases that will attack, or the onions in Mumias,
Chilies.
not the onions, the chilies in Mumias, they just grow naturally like that? Did you get my question?
You see, yes, yeah. So I'm answering it. Yeah. So when it comes to any farmer, before you start planting anything, especially if it's something new, just do a soil test. Surely nowadays soil tests cheap as 1,200, 1,500. There are companies who can do for you some very good simple soil tests. Please do your soil test. Don't plant something because you imagine it will grow well where you are. Yeah. There are some farmers who have agribusiness expectation, agricultural mindset. The two don't work. When you hashtag Odipochi, when you have an agricultural expectation, but you have there's an absence in your mind where you don't have an agribusiness mindset, you will fail. You need to have an agribusiness mindset to get agribusiness expectation. But if you have an agricultural mindset and an agribusiness expectation, your output will be agricultural. It goes without saying. We reap what we sow. It is as simple as that. So if your soil is good, if you do your soil tests and your soil tests are good and you can be able to plant, and actually good soil testers will tell you here you can plant plants that are in this category, because your soil is a bit too alkalinic. So if you plant this particular product takes more alkaline. This particular thing is more acidic. So your soil, so these plants can grow very well here. Those are the reasons why you do soil tests instead of planting something just because your neighbor is planting. And one of the reasons why people plant in Kenya, many farmers, very many farmers, and I was one of them. One of the reasons why we plant whatever it is that we're planting is because my neighbor is planting, or someone I had planted and made X and X amount of money. Sindio? So that is the kind of foolishness that we need to win our farmers out of.
I was getting tempted to start planting chilies in Mumias. Now you're throwing me under the bus.
Not do what you had been saying.
Pole ndugu, pole sana.
But I like that thing that you've mentioned. Don't grow and imagine to harvest. You have to do so many other things in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you grow chilies organically? I mean, I know it might not be that line, but yes.
Oh gosh, yes, you can grow. Maize Foods do an excellent job in that line. No, you can do chilies organically very well, but it's very hard. It's very hard to do chili organically, especially in large scale. Yeah, because chili is an outdoor crop. So some of the guys I have seen some of the guys who I've seen who are doing chilies in organically in large scale are these guys called Ngong Fresh. Do you know a company called Ngong Fresh? You have visited them. Have you seen what they're doing?
Shed net, the nets,
shed net. Oh,
it's expensive.
Beautiful. Very expensive. Very expensive. But you can do chili organically in small scale. People sometimes despise the ability of a small scale farmer when they get into value addition. If you can get into processing, the kind of farming you can do for chili, especially if it's chili in a greenhouse, because if it's something organic, it needs to be in a controlled environment. So all these greenhouses that we have, you can actually plant organically inside those greenhouses and end up benefiting quite a bit. You might end up in a very small greenhouse benefiting more than someone with 2 or 3 acres. It's very simple. If you get into value addition, it's very, very easy.
People, how many kilos do I need? For example, how many kilos of dried chilies do I need to get 1 kilo of chili powder, for instance?
Well, that one is not standard, because different kind of chilies have different kinds of moisture content. The moisture content in a bullet chili and the moisture content in a cayenne chili and the moisture content in a bell pepper, they're not the same because of the size of the chili. Okay, but ideally, I usually say, roughly from the top of my head, I usually calculate with, I say I will lose 80% of the weight. So I usually just say I'll lose 80% of the weight. It's usually safe to use a very high figure. It will help in the calculations, and it will help bring you back to reality. Because one of the disadvantages also, when many people are getting into processing, they are hypnotized by the numbers. They're Excel an Excel millionaire before, and I lost a lot of money. Ay, 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 yeah. One day you should just book a date. I tell you how I lost a little over almost 10 million Kenya shillings. How I went into depression. Where farming has shown me things, but book a date. Yeah.
Advice, and I think that's what I wanted to find out. I want to find out a lot of information there, but local market value addition versus export market value addition, which one is a sure bet?
You there's no comparison there between local market, international market, my friend, is the way to go. International market is the way to go, especially if we can be able to get finished products from Kenya to the international market. The percentage profits are insane. I will not lie. The percentage profits are, you someone will accuse you of being a drug lord. Wash, wash.
But let me ask you something. When you talk about export market, how sure? I lost 12 tons of. Never have to tell you this. You need to host me one day. I lost 12 tons of French beans to an exporter.
What?
Yes.
That's a lot.
In fact, I've never planted anything for export. If I plant it, I export it to my house. How sure are you of export market, Odipo?
Now you see, this is the beauty about the export market when it comes to processing. The export market, when it comes to processing, goes directly to shelves. Okay? I hope so. I don't know. Hello, I'm here. You can hear me? Yes, I can hear you guys. I can hear you guys. I'm right here.
We can't hear you, Odipo.
Oh dear.
And I can hear you guys very well. Export market. I export it to my house. Odipo, can you hear us?
Hello.
Okay, even before he comes back, you guys have talked about the organic ways of planting the chili or any other crop around the farming. So I want you to explain to us about the kukuli fertilizer, how it works.
Wait, my friend.
I know it's organic.
Yes, it
and
is
I hear
somehow.
a lot about it.
I don't know.
Am I back? Am I back? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yes,
can you hear us?
you.
Yeah, I don't know I didn't touch anything.
Technology.
Yes, the export market.
How sure are you? I lost 12 tons of Mishiri French beans. Those days when you started farming, I know you know the story.
Yes.
I lost 12 tons of French beans to an exporter. How sure are you of the export market? Do you go and look for the market yourself abroad? You take the risk, or what do you do?
So let's imagine that Noah. Noah, let's imagine that you had found a way of cooking the French beans in a way that they can last 2 weeks outside refrigeration. Sawa,
Yes.
your turn. Sawa sawa.
Uh,
And then we put your French beans on the online shops that are available, from the ShopRites to the Amazons. There are very many nowadays. Sawa sawa. And then people buy directly from you. They are buying directly from you. Okay? And these people can pre-order. Okay? And then, Nema, you remember
Yes.
when you asked me about one of the things that the government can be able to do, I feel that they're not doing, that can be able to help those of us who are
Sure.
getting into this space. So
Yes,
if we had a distribution or a receiver agency in the country in which Noah was sending his products. So these particular people have pre-ordered. Pre-order is very big in Maju, eh? So they have pre-ordered. So you tell them the pre-order window ends on 21st, so tomorrow. So they need to order from 1st all the way to 21st. Okay? So when the pre-order window ends, these people, remember pre-order, they have already paid you, eh? So my friend, you've already been paid. Ni pre-order, credit card, and all that jazz. Then the distribution agency by the government through the embassy that is over there receives your products, all the 12 tons, and distributes to the consumer. So, Aya, let's do that simple math. You did 12 tons of mishiri, sindio?
yes.
Yeah.
So that's 12,000 kgs, yes?
Yes.
Yes, 12,000.
That's 12,000 kgs. So if we're to break it down into 100 grams, how many 100 grams would we have?
Hey. Umetupeleka
many
kwa
100 grams?
hesabu ya CBC.
Akili imekataa kuload.
That's what. That's 20, hey. That's 120,000.
Actually, you'd have about
Repeat
you'd have
the
about
maths.
you'd,
Uh-huh.
you'd have about 12,000 packs, give or take.
Yes.
Sawa sawa. So out of those 12,000 packs, 100 grams, pesa yako yenye unaweka kwa mfuko, ni $4, which is very modest, by the way.
Hey, umefanya
Which is very
nimefikiria
modest.
my dream car automatically. I'm going at 4.8. Hey, seriously?
Unanipata?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, that's how we need to look at some of these things. Okay, but again, remember, don't be an Excel millionaire. Sawa sawa. Don't be an Excel
Yes,
millionaire.
kuna
The numbers
cost
look
hapo
good
nini?
on paper. Yeah, the numbers look good on paper, but there's a lot of work to be put in it so that you can be able to generate that kind of revenue. Sawa sawa.
All right.
But it is
Yes.
actually possible. So the point I'm trying to bring across is every single farmer who is getting into agriculture, consider, I beseech you by the mercies of God, to please consider going into value addition, going into processing in one shape, form, or the other, no matter how simple. The other day I was amused when when one of the county governments gave a contract to Mukombero farmers. Apparently, there's a country that is buying Mukombero. Yeah, and the farmers were so happy. We need, I don't know, it was how many tons per month of Mukombero. I said, my goodness, I wish I was on that discussion table. I wish.
Because we would have processed ourselves.
Because-
I mean, people are talking about maca. We should be doing that
My
ourselves.
friend, you buy the raw material from us. Buy
Yes.
the processed. What are you going to do with it? You're going to do what? And produce an extract. We are going to produce that extract. Buy the extract from us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, those are the kind of negotiations that we need to start looking into.
Now-
Instead of farmers,
Yes.
yeah,
Now,
instead of farmers just being told,
talking about that. Sorry to cut you short. Talking about that, I don't know if I mentioned. How do we sensitize these farmers now to say, okay, fine, you brought it to the table, but this is what we will do. We will not just give you the back of the tree, the mukobero itself. We will actually do it. You know what mukobero is?
Yes, I know.
What it is, and then now what you do is that now you take it, now you process it, and now have it as powder. How do you sensitize these farmers to actually do it themselves?
Show them. It goes back to show them. Remember, these are people who listen with their eyes.
Okay.
Show them. If we can be able to show our farmers that they can make more money with one thing, I can assure you, Kenya, we have it's a good thing, but we have something called the M-Pesa mentality, where someone opens the salon mentality, the M-Pesa mentality, the kiosk mentality. Where someone opens a kiosk, it's successful, there's a neighbor who will open. Where someone opens wherever there's a small business, there will always be another one or two or three within a span of 2 years. As long as it is successful, we have that trend. So if one farmer can be able to see, or rather, if one farmer can be able to be shown and the others see that this one is benefiting from this particular thing, it will work. There was a time we did an experiment and planted rosemary in Gorifa. Gorifa is a small, Gorifa? Uko. Kama umepanda mishiri, Gorifa. Naturally. Do you know we planted rosemary down there? Our neighbor farmers came and started asking us, "Hey, what is this you guys are planting? We are just seeing you guys plant this thing." And it grew very well. It was very handy on the other side, because these guys were harvesting maize. They were harvesting, I don't know what. They are planting this. For us, they only see one crop kwa shamba. Nasi chai, nasi kahawa. So they started, yeah, they started becoming very interested in the same. It's exactly the same concept. What will be successful for one farmer, I can assure you the others will see and they'll just start trickling in. The process is slow, but the process works.
Farmers and all that. But herbs and spices, even just the name herbs and spices, rosemary, thyme, it looks and sounds like exotic, the cream de la cream of farming. Is that the case? Ama pia sisi tunaingia tu tunapanda.
It's lying to us, that for a selected market. There are some things that, because for instance, herbs and spices, a number, if not all of the herbs and spices that you can be able to grow in Kenya are actually medicinal. Someone in Kibra can get cancer, someone in Kitusuru can get cancer. Okay? If the medicine is a smidge of rosemary, the Kibra person deserves it, the Kitusuru person deserves it, because both of them are alive. Some of these mentalities that we have, honestly, are just wrong mentalities that have been picked up from generation to generation because of misinformation. Yeah. So we just need to start. We just need to start doing the exact same things we're doing right now. Sensitization. Making people see that it is actually possible to do some of these things in the absence of the things that we thought you need. As I was telling Nima the other time, our company does not own any machinery. We don't have any machines. We don't have any processing machines, but we have products in the market. Yeah, we have products in the market. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's possible to be able to do some of these things that we were made to think are impossible, but it's not that they're impossible. It's because we just had a limitation in terms of exposure, in terms of information, in terms of what we need.
Your company does not own any machine. Does it mean that the produce is being brought to you while it's already processed? Can you hear me?
How it works, this is how our system works. Let me just explain our system. Probably it would be easier instead of giving it in piecemeal. So, you
And
see the way Uber. Okay,
white.
good. You see the way. You see the. You see the way Uber doesn't have cars, but it has cabs. You see the way Airbnb doesn't have brick and mortar, but it has accommodation. It's more or less the exact same system that we're using. We realize that we can be able to partner with people who are very strong in very particular areas, or rather very specific areas which we need in our business. So for instance, some of the best printers we have in the country are Ramco. Ramco started a small division, or rather started a small consideration of MSMEs, of small people like us. Another company is a company like Plasitech. Plasitech do a very good packaging. Wako hapo. Another company is a company like Lineplast. All these people process various stuff left, right, and center. Kwanza in terms of packaging, these guys just do packaging. That's all they do. They don't do anything else. So we did a design and took it to them and told them we want this particular kind of packaging. I'm hoping in the next show when you invite me, I'll be permitted to come with my products. I show guys some of our products because they're fairly unique. They're fairly unique, and you'd love them. I can assure you, you've not seen spices like ours packed the way ours have been packed. I can assure you. Yeah. So the first company that is on the ground is a company a friend of mine owns that does aggregation. It does, but aggregation of farmers. And they have quality assurance people, they have agronomists, they have people who will guarantee it is going to be in the quality that it's supposed to be. People who will tell you we're going to have a 90% germination. Very good if you ask any farmer. And then we have another company, all they do is dehydrate herbs, spices, vegetables. That's just what they do. They dehydrate. Okay? There's another, and then there's another one. All they do is grind for you. Now you need to tell them what are your specs. You tell them now I am grinding, but I want the granules to be extra fine. I want it to be fine. I want it to be nini. So you give them the specs. So you see a product is moving. Eh? Let's say come on pilipili, since we're talking about chili. You can see how the chili is moving. You can see it. Eh? And then once those people are done grinding it into the kind of fine powder granules that we want in our specs, it's taken to a company that all they do is package in sachets, in boxes, in tins. That's the package. Their professionalism is in packaging. Their KEB certification is in packaging. Their NEMA license is in packaging. So they are extremely good in packaging. Okay. Then last but not least, we have an account, we have an SME account with DHL. Very good guys. They used to deal with the big boys, but then they started considering the small boys, which is very, very good. They have an SME package. The product comes there, it gets to DHL, and it is shipped. It goes to Britain, it goes to Australia, it goes to America, it goes to Afghanistan, Dubai, whichever country that the order has come from. And that's how the system works. And that's how we can be.
That's very interesting because I'm trying to understand now the whole idea of you, the statement you made that agro processing is very different from even agribusiness itself. So how did you guys get to find out all these other players in the industry that are not even related to farmers? They're doing their own things. The point at which you guys meet is when the product is being packed.
Yes.
How did you guys do all that research? Was it over a long time, or because that on its own, I think very few of us as farmers would want to go and get involved, because even farmers planting onions don't even know where to get the neti. Ile neti ya kupack. What would you advise farmers to be doing?
Research, get online. All these people are online. Get online, do your research. Nowadays, we have young farmers who are coming into play, and these young farmers can be able to show the older generation how you can be able to benefit from interaction. Imagine, get online, do your research, get ChatGTP, get online, get into farmers groups, get channels like this one. And nowadays with the algorithms, if I like this channel, chances of it giving me suggestions of other channels that are related to this are also very high. So you see things like those ones. Use technology to your advantage. Do the research. For us, everything I'm telling you right now are things that we have been processing from 2015. Initial product, the first time we ever brought anything live from it came from the mind. The first time we saw something physical, it was 2015. And every single year we have been changing something and adjusting something every single year to this year, to as recent as this year. Like the stuff we're going to look exactly like what we sold last year. Why? Because we have improved it kidogo. Every single year, improve. Why? Because we keep doing research. We keep doing research. New things keep coming up. We're like, like right now, I'm thinking of how we can be able to do a value addition for something like wheat. Why? Because Ukraine, one of the biggest wheat producers, is not going to produce wheat this year. So chances are there's going to be a high demand for wheat. So what can I do in that field? You see, as I started thinking like that, what can I do in that field? What can I be able to play around with in terms of value that I can be able to get wheat products from here to wherever it is, whichever country that this guy is going to, because those guys still need to eat, and Ukraine is not producing. So you see, research and dynamics like those will really, 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 really help. And look at the weather patterns. You see the weather patterns of certain countries. This year they're not going to have food, man. How can I get? That's how we need to start thinking internationally. There's too much opportunities, too 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 much opportunities out there for finished products from young entrepreneurs, from young processors who are right here in the 254.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Karibu tuzimie mic hapa. I think this should have been 3 hours. But thank you, Nema, for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. At least tumechungulia and we.
Nimechungulia nimeingia herbs and spices 101.
And the show has been very amazing.
Yes.
Very amazing. So before the break, I wanted us to talk about something when we talked about the organic fertilizer switch. You guys were talking about the
growing organically, yes.
All of that. So I wanted you to explain to us more about the Kukuli fertilizer, which is organic. And I understand that you've used it.
Yes. I think it's fantastic. Why I say it's fantastic, because it's more of a balanced soil conditioner. So what it does is it helps reduce the alkalinity and or acidity of the soil.
On water or soil?
On soil. On soil. For one main reason, because the soil is where the crop starts.
Okay.
I've had people talking about hydroponics and growing in water only, but that's another story for another day. In fact, by the way, can you grow herbs and spices in hydroponically profitably? Odipo. I don't know if he's still there.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm still here.
Large scale.
It's possible. You can. Large scale.
But the cost.
It's expensive though.
Yes.
Very, see, at the end of the day, for instance, again, expensive is relative. We can't really say it's expensive per se, because, for instance, if I spend, like, there was another time I was looking for a quote for some hydroponic system, and this guy told me this thing $1 million. It's a lot of money by all standards. $1 million. It was going to cost $1 million.
Ooh.
So $1 million is a lot of money, yes, but capacity of that particular facility could produce 1 million birds of the products that I wanted at the time. So you see. So I have spent $1 million, yes, but at the end of the day, in 3 months, in the 4th month, basically in that 1 year, I would have recouped that cash. And I would have planted.
It's heavy investment, high risk, high return. That's how we started farming. High risk, high return.
It can be like that. It can be like that.
Okay.
But that doesn't work necessarily. It's not one. It's not like it's always high risk, high return. Sometimes you can have very low risk with very high return. For us, we started our model. Our business model was high risk, high return. It really messed us up. We lost a lot of investor money, which we're still pay back to date, believe it or not. So sometimes high return, sometimes it's high research, high return. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you have last words, Odipo.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. Asanteni sana for the opportunity to be. I hope you'll be able to give me another opportunity. Sijachoma sana. Resident resident consultant for value addition. My heart, honestly speaking, my heart is value addition. My heart is anytime you're talking about value addition, you call me up. I have a lot to talk about value addition, and from my own experience, stories for days. I have stories for farmers. I have stories for shortages. Shortages. Yeah, wastage. We'll talk. You guys are doing a good job. Keep up the good work. I look forward to our next engagement. Ole Sana, we've taken more time than I had anticipated. I was told that the show is supposed to end at 1:30. So,
And we really appreciate your time.
okay.
You too, Noah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
God.
for
Thank God.
peeping up here, and it's very interesting. Thank you for our viewers too, for those who have been watching us in Twitter, Twitter Space, Instagram, and Facebook at Alpha Mass Media. Thank you for watching. Let's meet on tomorrow shows. Thank you.
Human beings, just like plants and animals, need sufficient food to survive. But food must be safe and nutritious, not only to provide energy and basic nutrients, but also to prevent disease and intake of harmful toxins. Today marks an important day in agriculture as we celebrate World Soil Day, and our focus is geared on the importance of soil mapping, which is a method used to obtain the most accurate information about the condition of the soil, the weather, and of the crops. Soil mapping allows a farmer to know the composition of soil much better, and also to know the features and specificity of the agricultural land they are cultivating much better. It further assists in determining overuse of fertilizer and some farming chemicals that change soil composition and disrupts the balance of microorganisms in the soil, which stimulates the growth of harmful bacteria at the expense of beneficial bacteria in the soil. Soil mapping is therefore an indispensable tool in the present agricultural activities because it gives the needed information to reduce the margins of mistakes in our agricultural businesses. As we celebrate this day, it is important to note that soil is the basis of all life on earth. We have to recognize the central role of healthy soils as an asset that is key to nutrition, economic development, climate change, and resilient livelihoods, and value all these factors accordingly in order to correct our human behavior for better land use and land management.